This podcast is sponsored by Hyperbrain IQ. See what an innovative nootropic formula can do for your focus, energy, mood, and cognitive function at hyperbrainiq.com. That's Hyperbrain, I as in intelligence, Q as in quick.com.
On this episode of the CPG and CBD University podcast, it's our first Gummy Central series episode of the new year. We're talking ingredients and what are some of the trending ingredients you may start seeing in gummies and other products in 2022. This is the CPG and CBD University podcast, and it starts right now. I'm Joe Gasselli, host of the CPG and CBD University podcast, and on behalf of everyone here at Global Widget, we wish you a happy new year. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts to get notifications of new episodes each week. And don't forget, you can catch full video episodes of our podcast on YouTube. Well, it's that time of year where everyone has their health and wellness in mind, those New Year's resolutions, if you haven't broken them already. So to help me go through some of the latest trends and ingredients for gummies, our technical services manager, Michael Diaz, and one of our formulators, Zach Burrell. Welcome back to the podcast, both of you, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
You as well.
Thank you.
So before we get ahead to what lies ahead in the next 12 months of 2022, let's look back at the past year. What were some of the more functional ingredients we started hearing more of and seeing in our products in 2021?
Oh, well, we saw a lot of L-theanine. I mean, that was one of the it helps you calm, but it also helps you focus as well. We've coupled it in a lot of them that have a lot of nootropics in it. It's one of those popular buzzwords that are coming out right now. Again, a lot of studies have been put into it, and it seems to be very effective. And so I like it.
Yeah, if you like tea, you like L-theanine.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
And that's green tea, correct? Or is it?
It's just tea.
Just regular tea?
Yep.
So now as we head into 2022, what are some of the other functional ingredients people start hearing more of, and maybe some of the stuff you're starting to practice run, on the gummies?
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones I'm seeing right now have a lot of ashwagandha. It's a old extract, but it's been used in a lot of things for stress, but also helps a little bit with performance. It has a wide variety of things that it can do. But it's kind of an interesting one because, again, it's been an age-old one that they've used. A lot of studies, again, just like the L-theanine we mentioned ago, they have these effects that help you do. It's kind of cool, though, how it ranges because we have some of them are more relaxing ones that help you kind of calm. And then also, though, for ones that help you kind of with anti-stress and things of that nature. So it's kind of an interesting product. Again, it's a little one that just keeps popping up on projects here left and right. I love it, man. I mean, it's one of those things that it's funny because it provides some difficulties when we're making the gummies, but as far as the use and stuff like that, it's it's an effective thing. So it's pretty fun to put it in our gummies now.
Do you remember the first time you added a certain functional ingredient into a gummies? What?
I remember the first time we used ashwagandha, I thought it was a mushroom. So I was like, we're making mushroom gummies? But no, it's a root, and it was all cool. But yeah, things like boswellia too. That's another popular one coming up. It has this sort of anti-inflammatory sort of effect. Got the black seed oil. Speaking of age-old ingredients, I mean, black seed oil was a big thing last year as well. We did a couple gummies with that.
Yeah.
That's kind of I think that was almost has religious ties, right? Like the kind of full healing and
I've heard some of those.
It's like your last studies with that one too. So yeah.
And valerian root's another one too. Yeah. That's coming up more a little bit that we're seeing. That's more for helping insomnia actually. It's been proven to help people who have had a little bit who just can't go to sleep. It helps them relax a little bit and it kind of drifts into the night. And again, another age-old thing that's kind of cool to see all these things from the past kind of go into a futuristic application like us right now with the gummies.
And speaking of which, how hard is it to stay on top of all this? How often we start seeing new trends, and are there certain ones that maybe you're already keeping an eye on for, hey, this could be something coming up 2-3 months down the road?
It's really a team effort, right? I mean, we have a group of us. Obviously, we're the scientists that go inside there. We're kind of always keeping our eyes open. We have a great marketing team here that looks into those new and upcoming products that seem to be buzzing around right now. And so we bring those obviously into our lab. We get that technical feasibility, start going through that exercise of making the gummy. But it's always about keeping your ear to the ground, seeing what's out there, what's going around between different communities. I know we've had Nelson here before talking about gaming. So we kind of focused in on what are some of the new topics that are involved with gaming. So we had that. And now we've had some things that are just popping up again in the market. If there's a market for it and people see that it's useful, we're going to be putting it in our gummy. You rest assured.
And along with our in-house brands, you guys are working with private label brands, retailers, distributors. What kind of feedback is there as you're going through that testing process and formulating process when it comes to these ingredients?
In terms of
the feedback that we may get is to, hey, could we add this? Could we try that? You know,
oh, sure. I mean, it always starts off with more is better.
It's true.
The sites are set really high. They want like 500 milligrams of this and that. So bring it down a little bit. But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, the feedback's been great. Pretty across the board recently. I mean, we've gotten pretty good at figuring out problems before they happen and be able to advise on that. And it's been able to make the customers a lot more happy sooner rather than later.
And just to kind of add it
earlier in the projects.
It comes to like, it's like a double effect, right? We always try to obviously make it the gummy form. You want to make sure that that's kept, everything works well there. Obviously the effectiveness of the gummy and what we're putting into it, but also the taste. Some of these things just don't taste that great. And so you kind of have a third battle there. And some of that things we've gotten a lot better at actually over time. Found different things that we can use to mask and all that. It's been a challenge, but we're overcoming them and they're tasting better. You could ask some of the internal people, our internal taste testers.
Quite the internal process we have for quality review when it comes to taste and flavor. And obviously some of our newest gummies last year's winning awards. So obviously the taste and flavor must be top notch. And speaking of which, when you work with a new ingredient, how long is the process? What's it look like to get that gummy to that perfect version that consumers see either, you know, direct from us or retail locations?
Well, I mean, to be honest, and I know Zach, you can add to this if you want. Right now, our because things are getting a little bit more complicated, our formulas from what we originally started up to now, it takes more time, right? And it takes more time. It takes more learning. Now, as we learn things, some things we can move quicker through, right, than we did the first time around. Yeah. But once we're getting new ingredients like the ones we talked about earlier, it's a process. I mean, it could be anywhere from a weeks to months. It just depends on what the gummy is, how it comes out, how it tastes, and how we can start achieving the goals that we both internally set for ourselves and the customer does too. But I mean, does that sound?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah,
okay,
it took all the good points. Unfortunately, it depends. I mean, some ingredients are a lot more difficult than others, but I mean, as we've gained experience, if we see something that, say we've made a mushroom gummy before, and we have a new mushroom ingredient, we kind of have that sort of basis to start with as kind of like a starting place and be able to kind of expedite the process through there. But the first time we see it, it can take a couple weeks to really figure out how the ingredient behaves in our system.
And then in an upcoming episode, we'll be discussing the wellness trends seen on Amazon. Of course, we have our in-house Amazon brands we'll talk more about in a couple episodes. Do you find that there are different trends maybe coming on the e-commerce side than there are, you know, in the retail side? Is there something that's maybe hot online but not yet in stores?
I would say, I would see like stores tend to go more towards like vitamins and things that are more maybe well known by people who aren't in the industry. Whereas if you see things on Amazon, you look for those trendier things like ashwagandha or boswellia that if you said that to any guy on the street might be like, I don't know what that is. But things like Amazon, those sell a lot better there, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, once you get more to the extract side of things, it gets a little bit more exotic. That's a great way to say it, more exotic, because you can tell the big boys that come to with us, they want more of the more well-known, more well-documented type of things that we've known forever. A lot of vitamin B's for energy, stuff like that. But it just, as far as the extracts at all, you can tell that that's a more niche group of people.
Is there one extract that's maybe harder to work with than another extract? Or, you know, Zach talked a little bit about like the mushroom gummies and doing that for the first time, and then you get it down. Are there ones that are still, hey, this is going to take a little longer because we're working with this extract? Excuse me.
Let Zach take this one.
I mean, extract-wise, I mean, ashwagandha's depending on the source about like if it's more concentrated or less concentrated, it's been difficult when it's more concentrated for sure.
And the amounts too.
The amounts, it just absorbs all the water, and you gotta treat it with a little more care for sure.
Because obviously people base this a lot of studies that we do too in our guidance to make a gummy, and sometimes it requires a good amount of that. And when you're putting a good amount of extract, and that's just taking over the flavor of the gummy, boy, not necessarily from a shape standpoint, but or a conformity meaning of the texture, it's more on the flavor side. Like you have to really fight somebody not tasting grass.
Or even less extract side, but more just ingredients in general, like collagen can be tough sometimes because it's its own kind of gel. So if you take too long, you don't give it enough time, you'll get chunks of collagen in the gummy, which you don't want. So that one's a little more temperamental as well.
And obviously the ingredients that are used are going to play to what type of flavor it can come in, correct?
Yeah, you go with the wave. Don't fight it, man. I mean, you go with it. If it's giving you some type of notes, you just lean into that, and then that's how we try to do it most of the time. Sometimes we're requested different things, and we'll fight that too. Trust me, we'll take any. we'll take any challenge.
Similar with color too. Like you don't want to fight against color. Like if it's a red active ingredient, cherry, strawberry, raspberry, you go kind of that spectrum.
Yep.
So
you lean in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep ahead of the trends in 22. We'll have you guys back as more and more new products and more trends develop throughout the year. But thank you guys for all the great info, and can't wait to see what we're cooking next.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. It takes 108 episodes before I start getting the one-liners, but I got them down now. Still making fun and sciencey, we're good.
There you go. That's right.
Technical Services Manager Michael Diaz and Formulator Zach Burrell, my guests on this episode of the CPG and CBD University podcast. Thank you again both for joining. We'll be sure to discuss evolving trends throughout the year. And don't forget, you can catch full video episodes of our podcast on YouTube, and you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You'll have notifications of new episodes each week. And don't forget, you can visit www.gwgummies.com to learn all about the manufacturing process here at Global Widget. I'm Joe Augustinelli, host of the CPG and CBD University podcast. Thank you for tuning in.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. CBD products are not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Always consult your personal physician about CBD and using CBD products. CBD should never be used by anyone under the age of 18. This podcast is not intended to provide legal advice regarding the legal status of CBD and CBD products.